Internet Explorer is a series of graphical web browsers developed by Microsoft and included as part of the Microsoft Windows line of operating systems. Starting in 1995, it was first released as part of the add-on package Plus for Windows 95 that year. Later versions were available as free downloads, or in service packs, and included in the original equipment manufacturer service releases of Windows 95 and later versions of Windows. Internet Explorer was one of the most widely used web browsers, attaining a peak of about 95% usage share during 2002 and 2003. This came after it managed to win the first browser war against Netscape, which was the dominant browser in the 1990s. Its usage share has since declined with the launch of Firefox and Google Chrome, and with the growing popularity of operating systems such as OS X, Linux, iOS and Android that do not run Internet Explorer. Estimates for Internet Explorer's overall market share range from 17.11% to 51.59%, or by StatCounter's numbers ranked third, just after Firefox. As of September 2015 update, Microsoft spent over $100 million per year on Internet Explorer in the late 1990s, with over 1,000 people working on it by 1999. Versions of Internet Explorer for other operating systems have also been produced, including an Xbox 360 version called Internet Explorer for Xbox and an embedded OEM version called Pocket Internet Explorer. Later rebranded Internet Explorer Mobile made for Windows Phone, Windows CE, and previously, based on Internet Explorer 7 for Windows Mobile. It remains in development alongside the desktop versions. Internet Explorer for Mac and Internet Explorer for Unix have been discontinued. On March 17, 2015, Microsoft announced that Microsoft Edge will replace Internet Explorer as the default browser on its Windows 10 devices. This effectively makes Internet Explorer 11 the last release. Internet Explorer will, however, remain on some versions of Windows 10 primarily for enterprise purposes. Starting January 12, 2016, only the most recent version of Internet Explorer on each operating system is supported. Support varies based on the operating system's technical capabilities and its support lifecycle. The browser has been scrutinized throughout its development for use of third-party technology and security and privacy vulnerabilities, and the United States and the European Union have alleged that integration of Internet Explorer with Windows has been to the detriment of fair browser competition. History. The Internet Explorer project was started in the summer of 1994 by Thomas Reardon, who, according to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology review of 2003, used source code from Spyglass, Inc. In late 1994, Microsoft licensed Spyglass Mosaic for a quarterly fee plus a percentage of Microsoft's non-Windows revenues for the software. Although bearing a name similar to NCSA Mosaic, Spyglass Mosaic had used the NCSA Mosaic source code sparingly. Microsoft was sued by CNET Inc. in 1996 over the trademark infringement. IE1 IE7 the first version of Internet Explorer. Microsoft Internet Explorer made its debut on August 16, 1995. It was a reworked version of Spyglass Mosaic, which Microsoft licensed from Spyglass Inc. Like many other companies initiating browser development, it was installed as part of the Internet Jumpstart Kit in Microsoft Plus for Windows 95 and Plus. The Internet Explorer team began with about 6 people in early development. Internet Explorer 1.5 was released several months later for Windows NT and added support for basic table rendering. By including it free of charge on their operating system, they did not have to pay royalties to Spyglass Inc., resulting in a lawsuit and a $8 million settlement on January 22, 1997. IE8 Windows Internet Explorer 8 was released on March 19, 2009, and came pre-installed in Windows 7. It had been in development since August 2007, at the latest. On March 5, 2008, the first public beta was released to the general public. On August 27, 2008, the second public beta was released. It is supported in Windows XP SP2 and SP3, Windows Server 2003 SP2, Windows Vista, Windows 7, and Windows Server 2008 on both 32-bit and 64-bit architectures. Internet Explorer 8 RC1 was released on January 26, 2009. Internet Explorer 8 Final was released on March 19, 2009. Security, ease of use, and improvements in RSS, CSS, and AJAX support are Microsoft's priorities for IE8. It includes much stricter compliance with web standards, including a planned full cascading style Sheets 2.1 compliance for the release version. All of these changes allowed Internet Explorer 8 to pass the ACID 2 test. However, to prevent compatibility issues, IE8 also includes the IE7 rendering behavior. Sites that expect IE7 quirks can disable IE8's breaking changes by including a meta element in the head section of the HTML document. IE8 also includes numerous improvements to JavaScript support as well as performance improvements, although it still does not pass the ACID 3 test, with version 8.0 scoring 21/100ths. It includes support for accelerators, which allow supported web applications to be invoked without explicitly navigating to them, and web slices, which allows portions of a page to be subscribed to and monitored from a redesigned favorites bar. Other features include in-private privacy features and the Smart Screen filter. Internet Explorer 8 is the last version of IE to be supported on Windows XP, as Windows Vista is listed as a minimum requirements for Internet Explorer 9. This is because Windows XP does not support the minimum version of DirectX that Internet Explorer 9 uses for hardware acceleration. IE9 Windows Internet Explorer 9 was released on March 14, 2011. Development for Internet Explorer 9 began shortly after the release of Internet Explorer 8. Microsoft first announced Internet Explorer 9 at PDC 2009, and spoke mainly about how it takes advantage of hardware acceleration in DirectX to improve the performance of web applications and quality of web typography. At Mix 10, Microsoft showed and publicly released the first platform preview for Internet Explorer 9, a frame for IE9's engine not containing any UI of the browser. Leading up to the release of the final browser, Microsoft released updated platform previews, each featuring improved JavaScript compiling, improved scores on the ACID 3 test, as well as additional HTML5 standard support, approximately every 6 weeks. Ultimately, 8 platform previews were released. The first public beta was released at a special event in San Francisco, which was themed around the beauty of the web. The release candidate was released on February 10, 2011, and featured improved performance, refinements to the UI, and further standard support. The final version was released during the South by Southwest Interactive Conference in Austin, Texas, on March 14, 2011. Internet Explorer 9 is only supported on Windows Vista SP2, Windows 7, Windows Server 2008, and Windows Server 2008 R2. It supports several CSS3 properties, and embedded ICC v2 or v4 color profiles support via Windows Color System. The 32-bit version has faster JavaScript performance, this being due to a new JavaScript engine called Chakra. It also features hardware-accelerated graphics rendering using Direct2D, hardware-accelerated text rendering using DirectWrite, hardware-accelerated video rendering using Media Foundation, imaging support provided by Windows Imaging Component, and high-fidelity printing powered by the XPS print pipeline. IE9 also supports the HTML5 video and audio tags and the Web Open Font format. Internet Explorer 9 initially scored 95/100ths on the ACID 3 test, but has scored 100/100ths since the test was updated in September 2011. Internet Explorer was to be omitted from Windows 7 and Windows Server 2008 R2 in Europe, but Microsoft ultimately included it, with the browser option screen allowing users to select any of several web browsers. Internet Explorer is now available on Xbox 360 with Kinect support, as of October 2012. IE10 Internet Explorer 10 became generally available on October 26, 2012, alongside Windows 8 and Windows Server 2012. It became available for Windows 7 on February 26, 2013. Microsoft announced Internet Explorer 10 in April 2011, at Mix 11 in Las Vegas, releasing the first platform preview at the same time. At the show, it was said that Internet Explorer 10 was about 3 weeks in development. This release further improves upon standard support, including HTML5 drag and drop and CSS3 gradients. Internet Explorer 10 drops support for Windows Vista and will only run on Windows 7 Service Pack 1 and later. Internet Explorer 10 release preview was also released on the Windows 8 release preview platform. IE11 Internet Explorer 11 is featured in a Windows 8.1 update which was released on October 17, 2013. It includes an incomplete mechanism for syncing tabs. It is a major update to its developer tools, enhanced scaling for high DPI screens, HTML5 pre-render and prefetch, hardware-accelerated JPEG decoding, closed captioning, HTML5 full screen, and is the first Internet Explorer to support WebGL and Google's Protocol SPDY. Windows 8.1 only. Cryptography, adaptive bitrate streaming, encrypted media extensions. Internet Explorer 11 was made available for Windows 7 users to download on November 7, 2013, with automatic updates in the following weeks. Internet Explorer 11's user agent string now identifies the agent as Trident instead of MSIE. It also announces compatibility with Gecko. Microsoft claims that Internet Explorer 11, running the WebKit SunSpider JavaScript benchmark, is the fastest browser as of October 15, 2013. Features: Internet Explorer has been designed to view a broad range of web pages and provide certain features within the operating system, including Microsoft Update. During the heyday of the browser wars, Internet Explorer superseded Netscape only when it caught up technologically to support the progressive features of the time. Better source needed. Standards support Internet Explorer, using the Trident layout engine. Supports HTML 4.01, HTML5, CSS Level 1, Level 2 and Level 3, XML 1.0, and DOM Level 1, with minor implementation gaps. Fully supports XSLT 1.0 as well as an obsolete Microsoft dialect of XSLT often referred to as WDXSL, which was loosely based on the December 1998 W3C working draft of XSL. Support for XSLT 2.0 lies in the future. Semi-official Microsoft bloggers have indicated that development is underway, but no dates have been announced. Almost full conformance to CSS 2.1 has been added in the Internet Explorer 8 release. the Trident rendering engine in Internet Explorer 9 in 2011, scored highest in the official W3C conformance test suite for CSS 2.1 of all major browsers. Supports XHTML in Internet Explorer 9. Prior versions can render XHTML documents authored with HTML compatibility principles and served with a text HTML MIME type. Supports a subset of SVG in Internet Explorer 9, excluding SMIL, SVG fonts and filters. Internet Explorer uses doctype sniffing to choose between standards mode and a quirks mode, in which it deliberately mimics non-standard behaviors of old versions of MSIE for HTML and CSS rendering on screen. It also provides its own dialect of ECMA script called JScript. Internet Explorer was criticized by Tim Berners-Lee for its limited support for SVG, which is promoted by W3C. Non-standard extensions. Internet Explorer has introduced an array of proprietary extensions to many of the standards, including HTML, CSS, and the DOM. This has resulted in a number of web pages that appear broken in standards-compliant web browsers and has introduced the need for a quirks mode to allow for rendering improper elements meant for Internet Explorer in these other browsers. Internet Explorer has introduced a number of extensions to the DOM that have been adopted by other browsers. These include the inner HTML property, which provides access to the HTML string within an element, the XML HTTP request object, which allows the sending of HTTP request and receiving of HTTP response, and may be used to perform AJAX, and the design mode attribute of the content document object, which enables rich text editing of HTML documents. Some of these functionalities were not possible until the introduction of the W3C DOM methods. Its Ruby character extension to HTML is also accepted as a module in W3C XHTML 1.1, though it is not found in all versions of W3C HTML. Microsoft submitted several other features of IE for consideration by the W3C for standardization. These include the behavior CSS property, which connects the HTML elements with JScript behaviors, HTML plus time profile, which adds timing and media synchronization support to HTML documents, and the VML vector graphics file format. However, all were rejected, at least in their original forms. VML was subsequently combined with PGML, resulting in the W3C-approved SVG format, one of the few vector image formats being used on the web, which IE did not support until version 9. Other non-standard behaviors include support for vertical text, but in a syntax different from W3C CSS3 candidate recommendation. Support for a variety of image effects and page transitions, which are not found in W3C CSS. Support for obfuscated script code, in particular JScript encode. Support for embedding EOT fonts in web pages. Favicon support for favicons was first added in Internet Explorer 5. Internet Explorer supports favicons in PNG, static GIF and native Windows icon formats. In Windows Vista and later, Internet Explorer can display native Windows icons that have embedded PNG files. Usability and accessibility. Internet Explorer makes use of the accessibility framework provided in Windows. Internet Explorer is also a user interface for EFTP, with operations similar to that of Windows Explorer. Pop-up blocking and tabbed browsing were added respectively in Internet Explorer 6 and Internet Explorer 7. Tabbed browsing can also be added to older versions by installing MSN Search Toolbar or Yahoo Toolbar. Cache. Internet Explorer caches visited content in the temporary Internet file folder to allow quicker access to previously visited pages. The content is indexed in a database file, known as index.dat. Multiple index.app files exist which index different content, visited content, web feeds, visited URLs, cookies, etc. Prior to IE7, clearing the cache used to clear the index, but the files themselves were not reliably removed, posing a potential security and privacy risk. In IE7 and later, when the cache is cleared, the cache files are more reliably removed, and the index.dat file is overwritten with null bytes. Caching has been improved in IE9. Group policy. Internet Explorer is fully configurable using group policy. Administrators of Windows Server domains or the local computer can apply and enforce a variety of settings on computers that affect the user interface, as well as underlying security features such as downloading of files, zone configuration, per site settings, ActiveX control behavior, and others. Policy settings can be configured for each user and for each machine. Internet Explorer also supports integrated Windows authentication. Architecture. Internet Explorer uses a componentized architecture built on the component object model technology. It consists of several major components, each of which is contained in a separate dynamic link library and exposes a set of COM programming interfaces hosted by the Internet Explorer main executable. iExplore.x. Win9.dll is the protocol handler for HTTP, HTTPS and FTP. It handles all network communication over these protocols. Ullman.dll is responsible for MIME type handling and download of web content, and provides a thread-safe wrapper around Win9.dll and other protocol implementations. MSHTML.dll houses the Trident rendering engine introduced in Internet Explorer 4, which is responsible for displaying the pages on screen and handling the document object model of the web pages. MSHTML.dll parses the HTML, CSS file and creates the internal DOM tree representation of it. It also exposes a set of APIs for runtime inspection and modification of the DOM tree. The DOM tree is further processed by a layout engine which then renders the internal representation on screen. Iframe.dll contains the user interface and window of IE in Internet Explorer 7 and above. SHDOCVW.dll provides the navigation, local caching and history functionalities for the browser. Browser.dll is responsible for rendering the browser user interface such as menus and toolbars. Internet Explorer does not include any native scripting functionality. Rather, MSHTML.dll exposes an API that permit a programmer to develop a scripting environment to be plugged in and to access the DOM tree. Internet Explorer 8 includes the bindings for the active scripting engine, which is a part of Microsoft Windows and allows any language implemented as an active scripting module to be used for client-side scripting. By default, only the JScript and VBScript modules are provided. Third-party implementations like Screaming Monkey can also be used. Microsoft also makes available the Microsoft Silverlight runtime that allows CLI languages, including DLR-based dynamic languages like IronPython and IronRuby, to be used for client-side scripting. Internet Explorer 8 introduces some major architectural changes, called loosely coupled IE. LCIE separates the main window process from the processes hosting the different web applications in different tabs. The processes use asynchronous inter-process communication to synchronize themselves. Generally, there will be a single frame process for all websites in Windows Vista with protected mode turned on. However, opening privileged content will create a new tab process as it will not be constrained by protected mode.